I am ruining this world. Well, I'm adding ruins to it, rather, like this building here. And honestly, guys, I am super happy with how this turned out. I think that for the most part, I want to keep a lot of these like plains areas nice and open, but I do feel like they're a little bit empty. And I think adding something like this ruin is a really nice way to kind of tie it together and, not only give the world some history, some lore maybe, but kind of a great way to just have something for your eye to look at as you're kind of going through some of these more empty areas. And here's what it looks like on the inside. So I like the idea that maybe these were like part of the roof or like supports for the floor above. And it is, yeah, really crumbled down since. And we get some particles from the firefly bushes. Oh, and we get some particles from the firefly bushes down below here. I really like too having not only all of this foliage, but then these big clusters of lilacs. There was a build on Pinterest that had done something like this. I don't remember if it was with lilacs, it might have been peonies, but I really liked it because now it's not only like, yes, this is obviously a very old building. You can see how it is just like totally falling down. But it's so old that it's starting to become reclaimed. We have like the lichen, like pioneer species and stuff starting to come back here, really break down the build. But also that like these flowers are, starting to pop up and thrive here as well. So it's not just like grass and ferns and whatnot. I also really like using stairs to kind of create like these gaps, like maybe some like bricks have fallen out, or obviously this thing has seen better days, so I think just adding little bits like that can kind of make a big difference. And if we head back in here, I think I've done a pretty nice job of creating like, I guess, the proper atmosphere for a build like this. Like I could see people kind of coming in here and exploring, but not only is it supposed to be atmospheric, but it is gonna have a purpose. Now, right now, this literally doesn't go anywhere, but I would like to put a little creaking farm in here because I have a couple builds in the city that are going to use resin, like a few up. Oh, you can't really see the city, but a few up there that are going to need a fair bit of resin blocks. So I think if we just do a little creaking farm down here, that's going to make a big difference. But I don't want to worry about that right now. I actually want to go ahead and add in another ruin. This ruin is still going to be kind of out in the countryside, but we're going to head this way out to the sniffer farm, and it's going to kind of overlook this field. In fact, it's going to be right where I have all of this nice little foliage and stuff. It's going to be here, and it's going to have a really nice view of our boat we built a few episodes ago, the Copper Maiden. So I think that this is going to be a nice little, I guess not pop of color. We kind of have the pop of color here, but something to kind of catch our eye, and it's going to give us some more views from here and here. And then when we're like leaving the city, this is going to sit kind of just outside of the view of the city. So it's going to be nice when we're leaving. We're going to have lots to look at. And who knows, maybe we'll even make this one functional as well. But without further ado, you guys, let's hop into a time lapse and get to building. I know I say this with a lot of my builds, but oh, I love this so much. I'm so happy with how this turned out. This was initially just kind of going to be a throw-in build. Like, I felt like the original ruin just over the hillside here was, not really enough to be, its own video. So I was like, I should go ahead and build another one in here, and keep, ruining the world. But this has quickly become like just one of my favorite builds in the world. Doesn't matter what angle you look at it from. Yeah, this is cool. This is so I guess the story behind it is supposed to be some sort of old like church or temple or whatever. I don't want to necessarily give it a label here, but maybe like an older building of worship that has since kind of become really run down. Like you could see where the roof was at one point with all these like little wooden pieces kind of outlining it. So it's pretty dilapidated. I wanted to make sure you could see like the windows okay, or like the outlines of windows. Maybe, who knows, we'll even go back in and add in more like stained glass or something here. And then obviously you do have some candles. The arch is in pretty good tact here still, but the main focal piece here is this little tree, which I kind of reused the tree over next to the stables, but I tweaked it ever so slightly, just like what type of wood. I added in some of the resin for like maybe it's like a fruit tree of some kind. And yeah, the vibe in this place is just, this is awesome. I mean, you can kind of walk up everywhere using the trunks, and guys, I am just super happy with this. I also went ahead and for like the hanging leaves, vines kind of thing, use some candles. But one of my favorite things, and we'll get this view here now, is just through the what's left of the stained glass window at the back. Like maybe this is where the altar was. You just get this beautiful, beautiful view of the ship, which we kind of talked about in that last clip. But oh my goodness, this is like, I can parkour up here, but yeah, this is better than I could have ever hoped. Honestly, I'm so happy with this. This might have to be the thumbnail, like a shot of it here. I'm not sure. I was thinking about using that one. You guys probably know by now if you clicked on the video. But yeah, just like looking at this place at night, at day, any angle. Here, I'll get a few more angles with free cam. I am just super happy with this. I'm gonna go to sleep here for a second, but then there's a couple more details I want to show you just before we get on to the next bit here. Okay, now it's daytime. Although I think all of this is spawn proof except for like a little bit farther down there. But inside, again, real quick, just kind of like we had with the lilac over there. I think, yeah, lilac, not lavender. We have that same kind of effect with rose bushes, although I threw in some like tall ferns in here, so they're definitely weeds. But we do have some rose bushes in here growing, some dried grass, but nothing too distracting. I guess the red is a little distracting, but nothing too distracting from the tree itself, which you can tell is even fluffed up a little bit more. Yeah, but you come in here, and I did want to make sure, like, obviously when this building was being used, it would all be flat. You wouldn't have a bunch of dirt in here either, but it wouldn't really elevate. So the big glass window you'd be looking up at, but I really wanted it to be eye level so you could look out and see the ship. So it's like this one has probably been destroyed for a long time because you could tell like so much like dirt and sediment is just piling up in here from the eroding rocks and whatnot. And that's how we get this really cool view. And hopefully, we'll do something with this island one day and we'll have an even cooler view. But on the outside, I did use some glass panes to kind of, I felt like some of the contrast was a little much, like with some of the dark bits. And I didn't want to have them everywhere. So I did end up just kind of throwing this glass in here to make it like a little more muted, I guess you could say. So yeah, I've kind of dulled that out a little bit. And then if we get a little bit closer on this side, there's like a big chunk taken out here, and then at the bottom as well, which you can actually kind of go inside of, and you can see it's like rocky, but there's a lot of dirt in there. And I think it would be cool eventually to do something with this cliff because it does look kind of plain, but I do like how it sticks out. So maybe we can make this like lake a little better. We could terraform that. Probably not today though. And then the last thing I want to point out are these outside parts. Now they kind of stick in when you look at it on the side, or I guess they don't stick out is a better way of putting it, but they are like these outside supports, almost like, I don't know if you guys have ever played Skyrim before. That's probably my other favorite game of all time, aside from Minecraft. But there's a couple of these big like dungeons that have similar kind of supports, and I don't know, there's probably an architectural term for this, but I wanted to have them at varying heights. So there's some really short, some that kind of go up and still keep their curve. But the idea, I think, is that they were all at this height at one point in time, and you can even see like only one of the possible 6 supports are still there. And then same thing on the other side, like we have another one here, and these ones kind of almost in descending order, right? They lead your eye downward, or I guess upward into the tree here, but I didn't want like this big space to be taken away from by having big tall pillars, so that's why this one is here. And then of course, you have a lot of foliage all throughout the build, all throughout like the walls and stuff. There's a lot of just grass and whatever growing on them. So yeah, very overgrown, but just super cool. I knew I wanted to have a tree like bursting through the roof, and I don't know. I didn't imagine it would turn out this good or this well, but I am really happy with it. And also, I'm going to take a screenshot because you know what? This looks pretty cool. Oh yeah, and there is a little pathway here now as well. I don't think I included that in the time lapse, but yep, lots of leaf litter coming off the trees. If you guys don't use leaf litter, especially on your pathways, you gotta. This is such an underrated block. But speaking of pathways, we now officially have another pathway just going up to the build here. Nothing too crazy. It's a little bit smaller than the main pathway, and then it's a lot dirtier. And I did end up using a little bit more like mud brick in here. Also because I'm running out of the packed mud, but I used a lot of the mud brick, kind of like, maybe in this day, this was like an important castle or like checkpoint or something. So it makes sense that it had more of like this brick, like important kind of pathway, but now it's very worn down. It's all covered in leaf litter. Again, leaf litter, you guys. I'm like the #1 fan. Use it, please, I beg you. Even though there's not really a tree around here, there's leaf litter because you know what? Why not? It looks good. But yeah, we're also back over here because I would like to build this little creaking farm. So enough about leaf litter. We can continue that rant later. Now we're going to go ahead and jump into a time lapse, and I'm hopefully going to build a somewhat efficient working farm. We'll see. Redstone isn't necessarily my strong point. And that is a night of AFKing, or I guess rather just smacking the creaking in this little farm, all done and dusted. As you guys can see, and you saw in the time lapse, this is nothing special, but for, oh gosh, I'm trapped. Now I'm the creaking. But for what I need it for, honestly, this is plenty. I was going to say it's like kind of inefficient. The most inconvenient thing about it is that you kind of have to, stand here and smack the creaking. But I put on a little video in the background, because our attention span is cooked. And I just kind of went to town there. And honestly, yeah, not too bad for what I'm going to need it for. And I kind of like having some of these smaller, like, more charming farms. I mean, eventually, if I'm going to do a big resin project, maybe I'll build like a massive creaking farm or something. Oh, also, I did add in some candles here. Kind of looking like birds. I like it. Might need a little bit of work, maybe bulk up the candles, but same kind of idea as the candles over there, the birds. But I think a good example of having a like little farm that's awesome and something that I can come back to from time to time, giving it purpose, is our little seaside cottage here. This thing is one of my favorite builds. Go check out that video if you haven't. Shameless plug. But I've been over here a lot this episode because this is a foliage farm. So I can get different types of the dry grass, short grass, ferns, bushes, firefly bushes, and I keep some shears in here, and I'll just, I'll show you guys real quick how it works. Basically, I just add in some grass, then we go ahead and click the button. Those are all filled up with bone meal, and we've now doubled our grass. So basically, it's not the most efficient farm, but it's kind of fun. It's a more interactive one. It keeps me engaged in this world. And yeah, it's just something fun to come back to and gives me a reason to be in this part of our world. So I hope that little creaking farm can be that for us too. And who knows, maybe we can put something in here, maybe another micro farm or something of the sort. You guys let me know what you're thinking. I think it could be cool too. This is kind of the original idea. To put like a lectern or something in here. And I don't know, I do have plans for a big library, but I was thinking maybe I'll do like a comment of the week kind of thing, but I don't want to mess up the vibe in here. So maybe again, like a hidden trapdoor or something might be a little better suited for this build. But with that, you guys, we are all finished with today's episode. I just want to say thanks for the support on the previous video. That was pretty awesome. You guys really showed up for that, and I really appreciate it. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. This one was a lot of fun to make and something that I've been thinking about doing for a long time. So I'm glad I finally got around to it. But with that out of the way, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.